The indie scene on retro consoles is absolutely thriving. I've had a really great time over the last few months diving more and more into these new homebrew releases for Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and the NES. Now sure, they're available on other retro consoles as well, but those tend to be the ones that I've focused on. So because the economy is a bit rough and we don't all have disposable income to throw at every single homebrew or video game that we want, I thought it would be really fun to look at some fantastic homebrew releases for the NES that are 100% free. They each can be downloaded for the low cost of $0 on each of their itch.io pages, which I'll have linked below. So if you're looking for something to play on your NES or on your emulation device, look no further, because I've got you covered. Now the first game we're going to look at is a pretty recent release. Now I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to horror movies, so I'm not necessarily the target audience here, but what I am a fan of is a challenge, fun games, and fluid controls. And this one checks all three boxes. This is All Hell Unleashed, and it takes pretty much all of its inspiration from classic horror movies and puts them into a level. They each have their own levels. There's ones based on Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just to name a few. And honestly, I'm not familiar with a lot of these, but if you're a big horror movie buff, you should absolutely play this game. Now understand that this one's pretty difficult, and your main objective in it is to collect all of the orbs on each level, and then once you do, you're going to open a portal and then you'll have a boss fight. Now the game is really difficult, and you're most likely going to die time and time again. And you're always going to start over at the start of the level. The lone exception is if you reach the boss. Your checkpoint will essentially be at the boss fight, which is a godsend, because oh my god, do some of these bosses take like several to a dozen tries to finally learn their pattern and overcome. But this is a really fun action platformer. You start out the game, you have daggers, you have swords I think you can throw, and then you also have Molotov cocktails, which sometimes you're going to use to eliminate these blocks. They're like destructible blocks that'll be in your way. Sometimes enemies will drop different types of power-ups. There's a time freeze, an invincibility potion. Every level felt completely different and appropriate for the movie that it's drawing its inspiration from. Now you can clearly see why this one's a free game, because obviously these are all licensed properties, so that's why you're getting this one for free. But this is a really well designed NES game, and if you're looking for some type of horror game, or if you always had it in your mind like, I wish there was a really good horror game on NES, because a lot of them weren't really that great, well, pleased to tell you, this is the one. We're going to switch gears a bit for the second game. It's called Cursed Crown, and this one is a puzzle game. It's a bit more relaxing. That's not to say that it's devoid of difficulty, but this is more of a chill puzzle game. And it has a really cool mechanic where you can actually rewind if you need to. At the press of a button, you can rewind your moves, and if you make a mistake, no big deal, just rewind it back. So for that reason, it's highly accessible. Your objective is basically to collect all of the rupees, gems, not quite sure what they are, and then reach the exit. Most of the time, you're going to be manipulating different things like blocks or pots, traversing different types of obstacles, and solving these single screen puzzles to reach the exit and then proceed to the next. It does tell you a story, and the main premise of this one is that you're cursed and you're basically trying to undo the curse, so you're playing as a frog here. I don't have a whole lot to say about this one, but what I will say is this one is free, but you can also donate to the developer if you want to. And I know there's a lot of itch.io games that are handled that way, so that's totally at your discretion if you have a few bucks to toss the developer. This game is totally worth it. It's filled with 40 levels of puzzle game action, and I'm really enjoying playing through it, and I think you will too. Now, the next two games I've got for you here are a bit on the older side, so if you're really into the homebrew scene for NES, you're no doubt gonna already know about these games. They were both released by Gradual Games, and the first one's called Nomolos Storming the Catsle. Not Castle, Catsle. Yeah, you heard me, Catsle. Anyways, this is an action platformer where you play as a cat knight, and you have like a dagger or sword. It's not really that long of an attack, so I want to say it's a dagger. But you're going to play through 12 levels, and there are 4 different bosses. You play through some very linear levels, and it definitely gave me Ghosts and Goblins vibes, but certainly not quite as brutal. It's a challenge for sure, but not quite as brutal. And as you play through this, there are different weapons that you can pick up. There's a mace, there's a throwing javelin, and if you ever get hit while you're carrying one of these, it will take it away from you. So there's some kind of risk reward going on here, where if you can go without getting hit, you're going to stay more powerful if you have a particular weapon that you like. Versus if you go in willy-nilly and keep getting hit, you're going to be stuck with your short little dagger attack. This one controls really great. I really enjoy its graphical style and the premise because, yeah, I'm a cat fan. The controls are really fluid. The music is pretty good. This is a game that definitely checks all the boxes for what makes a fun action platformer. It provides a good challenge. It's not too challenging though. It has great controls, visuals, and music. And if this sounds appealing to you, then this is one you should check out. Then the second game we're looking at from Gradual Games is actually one of the homebrews that I have a physical copy of. I bought this a long time ago from Infinite NES Lives, and unfortunately you can no longer purchase these from them. They don't make them anymore. So if you're interested in a physical copy, you'll have to find it on the secondary market. But this is the Legends of Owlia, and this is clearly inspired by action RPGs from the NES era. In particular, I was definitely picking up on some Crystallis and Legend of Zelda vibes, but this one tells a great story about the 6 great owls on the land of Owlia. So you're going to play as a female protagonist, and she has a short-range dagger attack similar to the previous Gradual Games title we just talked about. And then you can also use your owl. And your owl is the key mechanic here that is pretty unique. Now when you start the game out, your owl has basically 2 different skills, and you can always have 2 equipped at a time, and you're going to learn more as you play through the game. The first one is simple. It allows you to attack your enemies, and then the second actually allows you to throw your owl out and retrieve items, so hearts or money and things like that. I guess it basically acts like a boomerang from Zelda. But as you play through, your owl's going to learn new abilities, like being able to carry and drop bombs, and things of that nature. This is a game that's more of a linear type of Zelda experience. It's not as open and sprawling, but it's a game that is so fantastic. And if this is one that you have not heard of, you should absolutely play this. I don't quite understand how this game's free, but it is, so that's to your benefit. If you do manage to find a physical copy of this one, you don't have to worry about if it has a save battery or anything like that. This actually has a password system. But if you're playing this on an emulator, obviously you have save states. So that tells you about how long of a game this is. This is certainly one of the longer games on this list. I would definitely say the longest of the 4 on this list. But this is definitely one of those games that I played all those years ago and remembered really enjoying. so I played it again to record the footage for this video, and I'm having just as much fun as I did the first time around. So that's it. That's all 4 of the NES homebrews that I wanted to show off that are completely free. I know times are tough, and we all love video games, but at the end of the day, we can't afford every single game we want, so here you go. I hope there's at least 1 or 2 here that you haven't played before, and if you're one of the lucky ones that have never played all 4 of these, hopefully they keep you busy for a while. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any other free NES or any other console for that matter homebrews, please let me know down in the comments below so that I can check them out. As always, I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you next time.